We are back. Well, kinda. I don't know. We're gonna see how this goes. Been super busy and haven't been able to do very many updates or anything, but we're gonna still try to take you through what we've done with the chassis building and how this is all going together. This whole project has just spiraled out of control. It went from putting a couple suspension upgrade components on here and a 4-link to building a whole chassis. So this is our whole intercooler, radiator, transmission cooler, AC condenser, intercooler, radiator, overflow tank, power steering reservoir, AC condenser, our dryer on the other side. All these parts and pieces and blow-off valves are all in one unit, self-contained, that'll go on the chassis now, not just the body like it was. This is our Ford 9-inch that came out of it that we built from scratch. So this is narrowed up to accept these 12-inch wide tires and wheels that are on the back. This is our Corvette C4 front suspension that we designed the whole cross member and everything for it as well. This is the fuel system that we designed the whole gas tank and built the gas tank for it from scratch also. And this is our hover truck. So this is our truck that is not on the lift. Nothing is sitting on the lift but crap right now. The truck is actually hanging from the ceiling and this I-beam structure here. So it's A-frame structure, the whole body is held up to the ceiling. The chassis came out from underneath it as a roller, and then we rolled it over into the paint booth area where we could do the rest of the welding because it's jam-packed in here. Can't get any more stuff in here. Here's our motor for this, though. This is going to be a Gen 3 5.3 liter LS. Twin turbo, and we come into this area, which is supposed to be my paint booth, which is turned into a chassis making room so I can finish welding everything upside down on the rotisserie for it. So as you can see, the chassis looks a lot different than before. We started off with just our straight sticks, and being as the owner does not want a roll cage in it, in the stiffness and the rigidity of this chassis comes from normally when you would tie everything together with a roll cage. So this is all, as you can kind of understand, the chassis is upside down right now. It is upside down on the rotisserie, and I think we could just make it loose and I could show you, spin it around a little bit, maybe put it back into perspective again. And as we come around, so our rotisserie allows us to get at the top side, the bottom side, the side. So now it's right side up again. Our front suspension, all our C4 components goes up here. This is all braced and latticed, and our drive shaft loop is going to come right through here. And we did have to do a couple modifications because we can't drop the exhaust out the bottom now because all of this is below. So now we're putting another V-band clamp on the exhaust that we have to cut in yet, and then we can take it out section by section if need be to ever take that out. Tomorrow, we got to finish welding everything up on this chassis tonight, and tomorrow it's going to powder coating. So we're going to bring this to our friend over at Rob at Adrenaline Customs. He's got one of the only big booths in the state to do a full chassis powder coating on it. He's going to powder coat this, being as it's in my paint booth, and I have all the paint and everything to do it. But where it becomes the problem is trying to get it to look decent and keep it wet all at the same time. So if you can imagine trying to paint all of these tubes going in all these different directions, you can only paint this much of a tube at a time because the rest of the stuff wraps around and then it kind of swirls, it dries in the air, and then it just starts falling down on everything else dried. So it ends up overspraying and dry spraying everything. It gets almost impossible to keep everything wet. I have done it before with like a slow reducer, but now you also run the risk of having runs in it because you've made it dry so slowly as well. And it takes a long time for it to cure out and everything, and it just gets so hard to paint inside of here and under here and here and here, and all these little nooks and crannies make it just terrible to paint in, because paint is putting out your high pressure air. And say you imagine you want to paint the inside of these pockets right here. Well, the air goes in there with the paint, and then it swirls inside of there, so it can't push all the way back into the corners. It's really hard to get paint to go back into a corner, and you have a lot of corners in this. The advantage of powder coating is the powder coating is electrostatically charged, and your frame is negatively charged, so when the powder comes out, it actually it's applied right here, and it wraps all the way around the other side of the tube. So you can get the powder coating like this, and this whole tube will completely be encapsulated in the powder all the way around it, which is a tremendous advantage when you have all these little nooks and crannies like this. It makes it just terrible to paint. Powder coating is definitely the way to go. It has a huge advantage. It's a lot more chip resistant, rock resistant, high gloss to it. Couple of disadvantages to powder coating is if you do chip it, scratch it, or something like that, rock comes up and hits the bottom, it's almost impossible to touch it up because it's melted plastic is what powder coating is, and to grind it off, it doesn't grind very well. It wants to smear, it wants to melt. So just to get the material off to get down to bare metal to make a repair is terrible, just to try to get all of that polymer off, and then you have like a big divot spot and it smears into the metal. So it does have a little bit of a disadvantage of powder coating, but if you're happy with where everything is and the advantages kind of outweigh the disadvantages to it, then it just makes sense. Like this particular case, powder coating is going to be the way to go. This will give it a super nice gloss, high gloss finish to it, durable, chip resistant, oil and solvent resistant and everything as well. So there's a lot of advantages, and that is one of them. Now it's baked on, everything's smoothed out. Disadvantages to powder coating is like, say right here, for example, of this splice right here. There's a bunch of different welds in here. Normally, if I was going to paint that, I could just run a swipe of Bondo right over the top of that, smooth it out. You'd never be able to see it and know it's there, period. You can't do that with powder coating. So the powder coating, you're going to be able to see these splices and everything. And that's just something that you're going to have to either say, hey, I can live with it, or I can't live with it. I will go through tonight and I'll weld up and I'll fill some of these bits in and smooth it a little bit better, so that'll blend the stuff away. But that's just some of the things you got to think about, whether you want to powder coat or not powder coat. But this is going to be the ticket for this thing. Once he's powder coated, everything that's over in that other room now, we can start final assembly of everything, which is something I've been looking forward to for a long time. So it's final assembly time. It's a really fun point where we can start bolting this stuff on, and it stays on. We don't have to take it back off again like we do now for mock-up. So the gas tank's been fitted in it, our sway bar's been fitted in it, the rear end's been fitted in it, our body mounts, which we've changed also, and had these dog bone mounts that just the back of the cabinet swung on them before, and it does not add any rigidity to the chassis. So we're going to mount the body on these mounts, and we're going to have 4 body mounts on it instead of 2 that the factory has. And we're going to rigidly mount the cab, which will add rigidity to the rest of the chassis in this, because he didn't want a roll cage, but he wants 800 horsepower, a trans brake, sticky tires, and a big combination of chassis twist. So we're eliminating all this chassis twist by adding all of this gusseting, bracing, and it's all going underneath compared to what it would be in a roll cage up above it to stiffen that up. And I'm actually using the running board mounts here as chassis stiffeners also. So these running board mounts, instead of having just a bolt-on stamped steel piece, now the tubing is integrated into the chassis. The running board mounts are integrated right into it. That will stiffen this chassis up as well. That will prevent a lot of the twisting force that's going to occur on this thing. When you launch it with a trans brake and those sticky tires, it's going to want to twist the body and the chassis. So that's why all of this bracing is in here and all of the extra latticing is out on here. And this should make a really rigid chassis. We have a rear anti-sway bar here also. That keeps the rear end, so both tires are planted, so it actually kind of makes the rear end go up and down as one unit instead of being able to articulate so much, which will help with the launch and keeping the body straight as the chassis is flexing. That's what the rear anti-roll bar is all about. Our gas tank just drops in right back here, sets right on the top here. And what else we got? A trailer hitch. Every badass car should have a trailer hitch on it. That's what I say. Want to go on a drag weekend or a drag week kind of deal? Now you can carry a trailer behind it with your tools and your trailer and extra parts or whatever. And you want to pull something, go camping with it, you can too. Trailer hitch for the win. Every badass car should have a trailer hitch on it. And this one is no doubt going to be a badass truck. So that's what we got going on. We got a whole lot more coming up. We're going to try to piece the whole build of the chassis together. I just have not had time to do this, so Laquan been helping me out with this, and it's just been awesome. Hopefully we can get back on track here again, but stay tuned for more. We got a lot more coming up, guys.